Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Spokes Hub orientation. We are the Spokes Hub coordinators. My name is Savannah. We have Jose here. We have Jay Lee, and we also have Thought Scholar, otherwise known as Moses. And we help run this program. And we have a quick presentation for you today to explain how the program works and what you can get out of it. So Moses, would you like to go ahead and share your screen? Great. So welcome to Spokes Hub. This is our slide presentation. Next slide. Jay Lee, would you like to explain what Spokes Hub is?
Absolutely. So Spokes Hub is a absolutely free virtual peer learning program for people with lived experience in the sex trade. So it's designed to support advocates, and participants are encouraged to deepen their understanding of complex issues through peer learning and through research, and also to expand their advocacy skills with things like writing and discussion and public speaking. So this is accomplished through a combination of online workshops, which we call classes and presentations, as well as a self-directed final project, which culminates in graduation, and that is usually held between 1 and 2 times per year.
Thanks, Jay. Moses, next slide. Great. Jose, want to tell us more about the program and who runs it?
Yeah, so Spokes Hub, for starters, is free, and we love free. Sponsored and co-hosted by New Moon Network, also the Wood Hub Freedom Foundation. New Moon is a sex worker-led nonprofit dedicated to advancing the rights and welfare of folks in the sex trade. And the Wood Hub Freedom Foundation is also a nonprofit devoted to education, public advocacy, and support of sexual freedom.
Thanks. So this is a real collaboration. Next slide. Moses, would you like to talk about who Spokes Hub is for?
So Spokes Hub is only for people with lived experience in the sex trade. You don't have to identify as a current or former sex worker or as a survivor. Your experiences might be across the spectrum, but as long as you have some lived experience in the sex trade, this program is definitely for you. At its core, the program approaches issues from a harm reduction and human rights-based approach for sex workers. That might not be the perspective that you're coming from, but we all have different perspectives, and we don't want to define your experiences for you. We're here to, listen and support the work you do as an advocate and have discussions and, like a good back and forth.
Thanks. Next slide. So what is the Spokes Hub approach to learning? As Moses said, we all have different experiences and different places we come from, different backgrounds. And as a lot of us know, there's a lot of issues connected to the issue of the sex trade. So here we have our Spokes Hub wheel. We're a little corny here sometimes at Spokes Hub, and it's like, these are spokes on a wheel, and you're all either current or future spokespeople for issues related to the sex trade. So here we have all these different issues branching off, like women's rights, poverty and wealth, immigration, LGBTQ, all of these issues. We could take a real deep dive as to how they relate to and are relevant to the sex trade. And one reason we wanted to start Spokes Hub as a peer learning space was to hear from each other about our varying levels of expertise in these issue areas so that we can develop our collective understanding, hopefully decrease misunderstanding in our movement when we're coming from different perspectives, and also just become well-rounded advocates for the rights and welfare of people in the sex trade. And then we have on either side here a motto that we really like, which is that we all have something to learn and we all have something to teach. We think that all of you, by virtue of having lived experience, are experts in your own right, and we hope that Spokes Hub can help you deepen your own authority as you go out to the world and talk about sex trade issues. Next slide. Jay, can you talk about what Spokes Hub can do for participants?
Yes, we can get you paid. A lot of folks don't know this, but less than 1% of all human rights funding internationally goes towards sex worker rights. That's actually even less now since a recent withdrawal of the biggest funder in the world. So we're not working with a lot when it comes to the nonprofit world. So advocates are commonly unpaid volunteers as a result of their advocacy work and the lack of funding in the landscape. As well as that, anti-trafficking spaces have notoriously been very hesitant to include sex workers. And survivors have also been left out of conversations, as well as those funding streams that are really devoted towards anti-trafficking work. So Spokes Hub is basically here to fill in some of the gaps for otherwise unpaid education work that you would do in your advocacy career. So in addition to further developing your voice as an advocate, our ultimate goal is to support your sustainability as an advocate. And a big part of that is financial support, as we always know. Got to get that back. So you can get compensated via the awards pool as a graduate or for teaching a Spokes Hub class, even if you haven't graduated yet. And we will discuss more about the awards pool later.
And just a caveat, the awards pool is one of the more complicated aspects of Spokes Hub that we're trying to perfect. So if you have questions about the awards pool, let us know, because we want to make sure that things are clear. We want to be really clear about expectations, especially where like labor and money is concerned. Cool. Next slide, please, Moses. Jose, would you like to explain how people can start engaging with Spokes Hub?
Yeah, so most of you have already kind of done the first step, and if you haven't, there's plenty of time filling out the Spokes Hub enrollment form, which we get and send you a welcome email. Then we kind of have a couple of things that we're asking folks to do in order to graduate from the program. One is watching the media training for sex workers. That's something you could do on your own time, and we'll put the link for that in the chat. The next one is picking advocate safety class. We are doing these at least once a quarter because of how important this is. You can register for the one that works for your schedule and time the best. And we'll add those below in a moment. And the last thing is to complete at least 3 other classes outside of media training and the advocate safety. So we'll have the whole year schedule ready to go for you, and we're constantly adding things so that hopefully it works for your schedule.
Yeah, and just a heads up, the enrollment form is optional. The enrollment form is just a way for us to get to know you, and it flags to us that maybe you're interested in graduating, so we can plan on working with you and tracking your classes. And then for media training, that exists on our class page on Spokes Hub. So Jose is going to drop that link in the chat. You can watch that anytime. It's really helpful if you ever plan on talking to a journalist. And then just a thing about Spokes Hub classes in general, the purpose of these classes is to help us become advocates and to learn skills for public education to further sex worker rights and welfare. The only things we can't teach through Spokes Hub are how to do sex work. We think that teaching people how to do sex work safely and effectively is really, really important. But for legal reasons, we unfortunately can't teach those classes here at this time. This is for current and future advocates. Next slide, Moses. Moses, would you like to talk about the rough graduation requirements?
So Spokes Hub is self-paced and it uses an open enrollment model. To graduate the program, you have to complete 5 classes, 1 final project, and participate in a graduation. Now, we usually hold graduation once or twice a year, depending on how many participants we have that are ready to make that transition. 1 class should equal about one class is usually about like 1 to 2.5 hours. It really depends. Some of the movie screening classes are a little bit longer, but that's mostly watching the movie and then discussion. And it depends on how long the discussion goes. So for about 5 classes, you're looking at no more than, I'm gonna say 10 or 12 hours of classes, maybe a little less, give or take. And then you're gonna be creating 1 final project. That's about 5 or 10, shut the door. That's about 5 or 10 hours with feedback sessions. And then you're going to be looking at a rehearsal and graduation, which is about 4 hours. And that 4 hours includes like us checking for technical difficulties, your mic, your camera, all of that, and just getting ready to record the graduation. So the average amount of time you're going to spend on the entire program is between 19 to 24 hours. depending on like a lot of, different moving pieces.
And just a quick note on final projects. Final projects, we say 5 to 10 hours with feedback and support sessions, but it's really whatever you want to put into it. Some people spend a lot more time on their final project. Some people spend a little less time. And if you would like to see examples of final projects that have been presented at our last 3 graduations, you can go to the Spokes Hub main page. Jose, if you don't mind dropping the Spokes Hub page in the chat, and you can see all the graduation videos as well as click links for people's actual individual presentations. Next slide. Awards pool. So just for graduating, we would like to offer you $100 just to say congratulations and to thank you for contributing your wisdom and information to the world through this program. And once you graduate, you become eligible for compensation through the awards pool. Through the awards pool, graduates can receive financial awards for specific types of public education work. And Jose, if you could drop the awards pool link into the chat, on the awards pool page, you can see all the different kinds of work that we can compensate for, as well as what we can't compensate for, which is political stuff, lobbying, testifying in the legislature. As a 501c3, we unfortunately can't compensate those important advocacy activities, but there's a bunch of other ones. Public education for the awards pool must be conducted on issues covered in the Spokes Hub program, so it has to be relevant to the sex trade. Awards from the awards pool range from $100 to $250, and you name your own price, and then ultimately we as the coordinators look at the budget, what we have available, and we get back to you on how much we can offer. After you graduate, you have access to the awards pool if you have given us a W-9 tax form, because any money you get from the awards pool is considered taxable income. And so if you make $600 or more at the end of the year, our fiscal sponsor Woodhull will send you a tax form. And we're really emphasizing that this is taxable income because some people in our program have Social Security or disability benefits, and you have like a really strict income cap. So if you gain access to the awards pool through graduating, or if you're getting paid to teach a class, we offer $250 per class. We ask that you reflect on your own budget and any needs you have around benefits. And if you have questions or you need some thought partnership, like talk to us. We're not experts, but we'd like to walk with you in that to make sure that you maintain access to your benefits. A last note is we cannot compensate for advocacy work that's already paid in some other way. The awards pool is designed to fill the gaps in unpaid work. Next slide. Jay, you want to talk about how people can teach a class at Spokes Hub?
Sure. As we said, you all can teach a class. You don't have to wait till you're graduates. You are experts of your own experience. And if you feel like you would like to submit a proposal for a class, we can put that that link in the chat. I think, thank you for, well, I don't know if I do it, but anyways, yeah, Jose, you could do that, it'd be great. But yeah, it pays $250 for one educator. But if you wanted to do like a co-presentation, those are always really fun. You can kind of feed off of each other, go back and forth. We will pay $150 per person if you both are presenting on that topic together. So it just has to be related to sex work advocacy. Once again, it just can't be related to doing sex work itself. So just, thinking about that, it can be a little tricky, right? So sometimes it does cross over, right? So if you ever need any support on thinking about like, you have a topic, but it might touch on some issues on how to do sex work, again, we are like thought partners in that, and happy to help you with that proposal in the class.
Thanks, Jay. Next slide, please. Moses, would you like to talk about privacy and safety?
So just letting you know, we take your privacy and safety very seriously. And just like we use, you might use a stage name somewhere else, you absolutely can use a different name to participate in these classes, and you're free not to show your face during these classes. If at any point you're concerned with your privacy, then just, email one of us, or, if you have a different one, contact with one of us. contact us immediately, and we will take any steps that we need to take to make sure that everybody is feeling safe, to make sure that everybody's information is protected.
And that also goes for people who are teaching classes. Sometimes educators record their classes, which we love because then we can add them to our library on the classes page, but not everybody can do that, and that's totally okay. You don't even have to have an educator bio photo if you're not comfortable with that. And then also for graduation, if you want to graduate, but you feel that speaking or presenting at graduation might compromise your privacy or safety, we'll work with you, and just let us know. We'll figure out a way that you can participate without compromising your safety. That could be just creating a PDF of your presentation and not doing the live graduation. It's totally up to you. And then also post-graduation, we have had a couple of graduates who at some point needed their presentation taken down off of the page because of stalking or other issues, and we will do that as well, so this is a flexible, fluid thing, and we hope you communicate with us about what you need. Next slide. All right, and so these are just some upcoming classes. So you can see here, these classes are all listed on the Spokes Hub class page. You all registered for this class, so we use Eventbrite for all the registration links. We now have a registration link for op-ed writing and Get in Your Bag grant writing workshop. So those are available as well. And we will be posting more classes as we get them. And something to know is that our next graduation is probably going to be in the fall. So late October, early November, something like that. And I think we can stop sharing screen. And that's our presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions.